The brain is one part of the entire body that is yet to be fully discovered. So today I'm going to talk to you about what exactly CTE is and how it works, who it affects, and specific symptoms to look out for and raise awareness in the future for some people who may be suffering from it due to traumatic head trauma. So what exactly is CTE? And what exactly is head trauma? So CTE stands for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Yeah, I know that's a really long word, so I'm gonna say it again. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Or I'm just, for the rest of the speech, I'm just gonna call it CTE. Save time and a lot of effort just trying to pronounce that word. So what is the proper definition of CTE? CTE is a degenerative brain disease found in individuals with a history of repetitive brain trauma. And so what exactly is brain trauma or head trauma? So there are two types of head traumas that can occur in an individual based off their occupation or sports that they are playing. One, it is a concussion. A concussion is a traumatic paralysis of the nervous function of the brain due to the fact that the brain is shaken so violently, which causes the loss of brain cells due to death and the breaking of the nerve cells. The second category is subconcussive impact. This is the brain shaken against the skull, but not at the strength of a concussion level threshold. And you may not necessarily have any symptoms based off of that. This may be hitting the ball, accidentally hitting your head on the wall, something like that just causes your brain to hit your skull and necessarily make your brain hurt. And research shows that you don't necessarily need to have concussion, which lead to symptoms that can be diagnosed. Subconcussive impacts, just repetitive of these impacts, can cause you to develop CTE. So now, how does CTE work and what exactly does it entail? So as your brain gets hit due to these head traumas, as you can see that here's a healthy nerve cell, and things tend to break at their weakest points. During the head trauma impact, the weakest point of the nerve cell is the axon, and this causes the entire nerve cell to die because the axon is broken due to the head trauma, which releases tau protein into the brain that can be harmful. Now, in a healthy brain, tau protein helps the nerve cell, or not nerve cell, helps the brain cell function and work properly for your cognitive functions, relating to your muscles as well as your nervous functions. But after repetitive brain traumas and the tau protein continues to be released freely into the brain and it floats around, it forms clumps. And once these clumps are formed, they move through the brain and they end up killing more and more brain cells, which lead to long-term symptoms and often lead to dementia or Alzheimer's, unfortunately. So now, as I said earlier, who is necessarily the most susceptible to CTE and brain trauma? I have down here some of the highest levels of CTE cases are football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, wrestling, as well as military veterans or concussion workers. So any occupation or job that can lead to very extreme head traumas, or just areas where there's threat to your brain just by accidentally getting hit to the head, that can just repetitively, that can end up leading to CTE. So now, as I told you, who are the most susceptible? I'm going to tell you now some symptoms to watch out for. There are short-term symptoms of CTE that often are shown in somebody's late 20s or early 30s. These resemble concussions, so slight headaches, sensitivity to light, often loss of appetite, short-term memory loss, nothing too serious, but something where you're starting to notice and see the effects of CTE coming on. And unfortunately, you cannot diagnose CTE until after death, as science is not completely there yet. So now, for the long-term symptoms, there are multiple. There's difficulty thinking, impulsive behavior, extreme depression, or suicidal thoughts, which often lead to substance abuse. So due to CTE now gaining awareness, especially as the NFL and players are suing the league in order to gain money for treatment and better helmets, because CTE is relatively new, and the effects are now starting to be seen as members of the older generation of football, so around their 40s or 50s, are starting to develop these symptoms of suicidal thoughts, extreme aggression, memory loss, inability to put together large plans. CTE is now hotbed for discussion on what exactly individuals should do in the future and how they should be compensated for treatment, and is there a cure for CTE. So in order to show a true yet sad impact CTE has on an individual's life, I chose to explain Junior Seau. So Junior Seau he was a linebacker in the NFL where he played 20 years. He was a 12-time Pro Bowler. So for people who don't know what the Pro Bowl is, that's like the All-Star game. He was a All-Star 12 out of his 20 years, which is an extreme accomplishment. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, so he made it in on his very first try. And he was a 10-time All-Pro. So that's even higher than the All-Star team. That's just if you're going to start, you'd be the best one. So he was also a linebacker in the NFL. His entire job was to tackle the offense. So take them down using any means necessary, often leading to heavy collisions that he was facing his entire life through college, high school, and then 20 years in the NFL where everybody's bigger, faster, stronger, and smarter. So unfortunately, 2 years after his retirement, he did commit suicide because he was facing extreme symptoms of advanced CTE. He was having extreme depression and suicidal thoughts, and he ended up shooting himself through his heart and donating his brain to science, where the autopsy showed advanced cases of CTE. Now, despite how depressing it is, I did choose Junior Seau as an example because I just wanted to show how far awareness has gone. So throughout that, people have shown that he thought that he was suffering from depression, and he's tried to internalize the struggle of depression, where now people are aware of CTE and are seeking help, which is very important to seek help and seek possible treatment and how to deal with CTE as it advances throughout time as you get older and older, dealing with these cognitive impairments. So in conclusion, I just wanted to state again, as depressing as it is, CTE is a relatively new topic in science with breakthroughs every year as research hospitals are starting now to figure out different treatments for not only CTE, but also Alzheimer's and dementia, which are clearly linked based off of tau proteins affecting brain functions, and as well as different ways to treat it, diagnose it, etc., and raise awareness and hopefully technology to help prevent this. So thank you for listening.